Here now, Democratic strategist Joel Rubin. He's also the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State under President Obama. Mark Lauder is with us as well, former Special Assistant to President Trump, also the former Director of Strategic Communication for the Trump-Pence campaign in 2020. Guys, welcome to you, as always. Thanks for being here. Let me start with you, Joel, on these VP candidates and this debate. How much weight do you put on this next face-off?
Marty, it's great to be with you and with Mark. Look, if this is the only debate we're going to have, it's going to matter. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is afraid of a rematch after the knockout punch he suffered at the hands of Kamala Harris a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to see the governor go against the senator, and I think the governor is going to come out victorious with two fists up once again, just like Harris did. This is a governor who is well practiced. He speaks in public all the time, obviously, but he was a teacher, so you can handle the kind of toddler arguments that J.D. Vance is going to put out there. And obviously, as a governor, he has executive experience and leadership experience, both at running a guard unit and also having served. And I think he's going to really provide a very difficult foil, a very difficult opponent for J.D. Vance.
Mark, what are your expectations for this debate in New York?
Well, generally speaking, vice presidential debates don't move the needle. People don't vote for the undercard. So once they check the box that shows that they are capable of being a heartbeat away, it turns into basically a proxy war between their presidential nominees. And that's where Tim Walz has a problem, because all of the problems facing Americans, high gas and grocery prices, wide open border, war that is ravaging the world in the Middle East and in Europe, are all because of the failures of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. She doesn't have a plan to deal with it, and people know that things were more affordable. The world was more secure. The border was safer, all under Donald Trump.
Joel, how much distance do you expect for Tim Walz to put between him and the Biden administration as he represents Kamala Harris at that debate, to some of the points that Mark is making?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to make any distance, really. I mean, first and foremost, there is a vision forward that he and Kamala Harris have put out there that, quite frankly, the Trump vision is Project 2025, which is all about taking away rights of Americans, ensuring that women go back 100 years in their civil rights, and ensuring that our government gets eviscerated and we blow up our national debt. I mean, that's the Trump-Vance vision. So when it comes to Tim Walz, he's going to put forward both his plans with Kamala Harris, as well as, look, inflation, obviously, is a horrible experience for all of us, but we're part of a global pandemic recovery that has had inflation. The United States economy is the envy of the world. We have record level low unemployment. The stock market is at its highest peak ever. I think we're going to have a really interesting time watching Tim Walz point out all the fallacies and failures of the Trump team and how they're misrepresenting what's actually happening right now in the American economy.
Both of your thoughts on the fact that we probably won't see another presidential debate. Mark, is the biggest loser of that decision the American public, that we won't see another one before November?
No, the biggest one is Kamala Harris. I mean, if you go back and look at that first debate, the one thing she couldn't do is actually tell people how she was going to lower prices or secure the border. She lied a lot about what Donald Trump supposedly wants to do. She lied about where she used to stand on the things like decriminalizing the border crossings and raising taxes, banning fracking. But she couldn't actually say what she would do. She still can't. So it's actually better off for Kamala Harris not to debate, because she doesn't really have a plan except for joys and vibe. And that's why when you saw all those panels of undecided voters, they sat there shaking their head and going, well, I know I could afford things with Donald Trump.
Joel.
You know what, Marty, one thing she won't do, she won't say that Haitian immigrants are eating pets of Americans and continue to lie about that and create a climate of hate in this country, where 30 bomb threats went to schools, that the Republican governor of Ohio had to call in the state troopers to protect young children. And we just see Trump and Vance doubling down. I think we'll see honesty and straightforwardness from Kamala Harris like we did in that debate. And we won't see the kind of gaslighting that we will probably again see from J.D. Vance in this vice presidential debate.
We're focusing all of this week on the swing state of Georgia. I just spoke with the mayor of Savannah, Georgia, and he says this election and the path to the White House goes through the state of Georgia. If there's one swing state that you all are watching between now and November, which is it, Mark?
Right now, I think my focus would be mostly on North Carolina. I think Georgia, the polls look good. The fact is that Kamala Harris is polling 5 points behind where Joe Biden was in 2020, even further behind where Hillary Clinton was in 2016. And it's because of the basics. There's a reason why 2/3 of the American people think our country is headed in the wrong direction. And that's because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They don't want to go back. And so I'll keep an eye on North Carolina. I'll keep an eye on Georgia, but both things look good right now.
All right. And Joel, I'll give you the final word here.
Yeah, first of all, I like the poll that you opened with where Kamala Harris is up. And I appreciate Mark's pointing out that Kamala Harris polling is still up again, even though he didn't want to quite admit that. But look, I'm from Pennsylvania originally. I think that Pennsylvania is the key to all of this. Georgia and North Carolina are add-on important, crucial states, and they matter. But Pennsylvania is really the determinant. And that, I believe, is the one where Kamala Harris is going to go forward, just as John Fetterman did and Josh Shapiro did a couple of years ago, overwhelmingly. And one thing to remember, the polls tend to be much lower than Democrats have performed at the ballot box in the last several years. A couple points up in polls, and then we're seeing 8 to 9 point victories across the country. So I think people have to keep that in mind as well.
Joel and Mark, good morning to you both. Thanks for being here.